If you are someone who hated Cold War due to broken camo and spotting mechanics along with the Wolfpack mentality, well, you can finally enjoy playing Cold War. As part of Dark Realm season, we received some major changes into consumable, skills, and equipment, and as a result, the tank no longer have the proxy camo or insane camo, as well as the spotted duration was changed from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. You can of course bring it down as well. So just a preview, before this change, if you get spotted in the line of sight, you will stay spotted for 5 seconds. When you break the line of sight, now that distance or the duration by default is 10 seconds. You can of course reduce it to 5 if you equip smoke, as well as if you have the radio jamming equipment. The smoke no longer provides your actual camo boost, which is great because now you cannot be in a tank that has to be proxy spotted, which is just huge. And as a result, in general, it reduced the camo of tanks as well. In addition, the improved concealment bonus was reduced. So a lot of tanks, even the tanks that were proxied, I was saying Weasel, Jaguar, they're not proxy. And the other light tanks, they have a decent spotted distance as well. So when you're playing heavy tank, you're not just a meat shield, you're not just getting penned, because you will spot them sooner, and once they're spotted they will stay lit longer, which means you can read the map, you can make decisions accordingly. In addition, they also changed the bond leader from 10% to 5%, food from 10 to 5 as well, and traction no longer improves your top speed, which means whatever speed you have, you can improve it slightly with food and powertrain, but traction used to provide a huge 10% bonus, and that's no longer the case. So let's say if there was a light tank before the changes, they could hit me, they could get to position quickly and pen me with ATGM. Now I would know, like, it's slower for them to cross. In addition, I can see them, or they will get spotted soon, and also they would stay spotted for longer, which would mean that because they're lit on minimap or lit on the screen, you can make informed decisions. And as part of everything, all the changes, it just made the heavy tank experience much more enjoyable, as now I can compete with them. I'm not just something that just takes ATGM and gets deleted. In addition to that, we also got a huge buff to Hull Patch Kit, because Hull Patch Kit now repairs 20% of your HP. So if you're 4000, you can get up to 800 HP restored per usage. So you can do it multiple times, or 3 or 4 times, and that's just huge, and actually improvement for heavy tanks as well. Of course, that's if you're not moving. If you are moving, it reduces half of that, 10%. And when you're recharging, if you take a shot, which I will right here, I thought I was safe, but I wasn't. Your hull patch kit would reduce or stop the healing process altogether. That's why it kind of encourages more passive gameplay, because even if you're light tank, you're recharging, you will wait for 30 seconds, which will slow down the game. And that's just beautiful. You know, longer games, the inability of tank to YOLO you to have better survivability, and you can read the game more efficiently, is just great. And you will see this now, and this is not just one game. I've been playing heavy tanks, and I'm just doing better. Before, I was just getting deleted in different heavy tanks. And I think even the single shot mediums, which were just there to donate HP, they are stronger now because of the concealment camo and the mobility changes. And you'll see here, we are losing 8 to 13. I'm in the middle, 1200 HP. There's the first tank, Scorpion, of course, not the strongest tank. He is YOLOing me. Because they were slow, I was able to get to a position where I did. If it was pre-changes, I would have never made it here. I'm in a position where my team can somewhat see me. I'm getting circled by Scorpion, and there's the platoon or the battalion coming in, XM leading the charge. I'm turning towards him so he doesn't pen me, helping by survivability a little bit. And then there's a T-72A pushing, missed this shot. But it's just, you know, it just takes them a little bit longer to push. It takes them a little bit longer to reload and fire, and as a result, I'm surviving. So if you're holding, you don't get or deleted immediately. So 3 tanks go down, another one goes down, and all of a sudden I'm not in trouble. I thought I was the one who's gonna die, but they got distracted, my team, and also I would have died 100%. As I said, if I didn't use the health patch kit, if they had a better DPM what they used to have, or the gun handling, but that's no longer the case. Heavy tanks, definitely it had a, like, if you were just a run and gun light tank player, it made them weaker, but by no means light tanks are weak in that regard. They're slow, so they forces a little bit more passive or tactical gameplay. Definitely doesn't encourage the YOLOist gameplay, which I'm a fan of, you know, beautiful. That's just beautiful, but that doesn't mean those tanks are weak, and they can play their role accordingly. You still have ATGMs. Like light tanks were super OP because they have the ATGM and then they have the autocannon. They just delete the tank, and they're still very strong. It's just I'm saying, with the changes, they're not that fast. They get spotted quicker, so you have to be careful while playing the light tank, and you're not as broken. You can still do damage, but this just made the single shot heavy tanks as well as the medium tanks more relevant in Era 2 as well as Era 3, and even if you do get a TTM, you have the opportunity to take your time and recharge. If you're on Era 3, 20% would be, let's see, 600. You could restore 600 HP in a 3000 tank. And you take like a 800 or 1000 damage ATGM. So even if you take ATGM, it's not out of the world because hull patch improvement is huge. And as a result, because it forces you to stay stationary, not engage, it even further amplifies the gameplay, make it much more enjoyable, especially if you're someone who enjoy the World War II. Now they don't go invisible after 5 seconds. Now I don't have to proxy spot them, I can spot them over distance. And that is just huge, like, because I mainly play World War II, I do play Cold War time to time, but it does get annoying. I can't just play heavy tanks, I have to play light tanks before this changes. That's the one I could do decent damage. Heavy tanks I would be spotted without knowing who's spotting me and just get deleted. But that is no longer the case, and that is just great. But I want to know your suggestions or your thoughts. Are you happy with the changes they did to Cold War? Are you a Cold War veteran who liked how the game was, or are you someone, even though you're a Cold War veteran, but you like the slow-paced gameplay? Or were you a World War II who never tried Cold War because of how YOLO-ish it was, and finally you can enjoy the Cold War as well? Of course, there's some more changes coming. They did a test on the terrain resistance, which would mean the heavy tanks will get slower in Era 2 and Era 3 as well, which would be slight, I would say, improvement to light tanks than what it is currently, because they'll have that extra speed. Even for the mediums, they will, I don't think they're affected by the terrain resistance, only heavies are, and you can still go in straight line, it's just turning is not as quick, so heavy tanks won't be able to chase the light tanks that efficiently as they can now. So great changes, great quality of life improvements to Cold War as well as World War II as well, but this video we were talking about Cold War as well, and as someone who enjoy the World War II mechanics more, this is a huge improvement. There's so many single shot tanks that I have but never get a chance to play. I can finally play and enjoy them, and you saw the games are much more exciting now when you're playing heavy tanks than they were before, especially in R2. So that's it for this video. Do let me know in the comments what you think about it, and if you enjoyed the current version or the older one.